The profound significance of I am that God revealed to Moses on Mount Horeb holds a hidden secret in God's name, a revelation that remains unknown to many, embodying the deep essence of I am. God communicated with Moses on Mount Horeb. Envision this. In the solitude of a boundless desert, the wind softly murmurs as it dances across the infinite dunes. The sun dips below the horizon, casting vibrant hues of gold and crimson across the evening sky. Suddenly, a bush bursts into flames, yet it remains unscathed. Out of nowhere, a voice, unlike any you've encountered, beckons you by name. This is precisely what transpired with Moses. However, what followed would not only transform his existence, but would resonate throughout eternity. I am who I am. These words transcended mere statement. They stood as a declaration of divine authority, a revelation of the eternal nature of the divine. But what does that imply? What makes it endure as one of the most profound truths in human history? Many today pursue wealth, opulence, and financial gain, convinced that these pursuits will provide them with a sense of safety. What if I revealed to you that the essence of all wealth and power lies in comprehending the true name of God? The voice that addressed Moses on Mount Horeb possesses the keys to all things, provision, guidance, and ultimate purpose. However, here is something that may catch you off guard. The phrase I am transcends mere antiquity. It serves as a profound response to the challenges you face in the present moment. In the face of financial burdens, fractured relationships, or the looming uncertainty of the future, the name of God offers the solution. Should you choose to accompany me to the conclusion, you will unveil a truth that eludes the awareness of most individuals regarding this revelation. Before we dive in, if you're looking to enrich your understanding of God's Word and seek genuine transformation in your life, be sure to subscribe to this channel now and activate notifications. What you are about to discover has the potential to transform your entire perspective. Moses' encounter with the divine on Mount Horeb was profound. Now, I require your assistance with something significant. I understand that your time is precious, yet you are present here due to your dedication to the love of God. One can grasp that his words possess the ability to change lives. As a statement of belief, please share your thoughts below. I have faith that a higher power will guide me to triumph over every challenge. Take action immediately, for language holds immense influence, and by expressing your thoughts, you are manifesting them into your reality. I will be reading and offering a heartfelt response to each one. Moses never anticipated that his life would take a turn on that day. He was merely looking after his father-in-law's flock, leading the sheep through the harsh wilderness close to Mount Horeb. He had devoted for decades to that barren expanse. Distanced from the wealth of Egypt, far removed from the opulence and authority he once experienced as a prince. At that moment, he was merely a shepherd, yet the divine had not overlooked him. As he strolled, something captured his attention. A bush consumed by flames, yet remaining untouched by the fire's wrath. He paused, gazed. This was far from ordinary. The flames danced vividly, yet the branches stood unscathed. His inquisitiveness gained the upper hand, and he moved in closer. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses. Moses. Imagine being in Moses' position for just a moment. Envision the astonishment, the intense admiration. The very God who fashioned the heavens, the stars, and the mountains was now summoning his name. Moses once resided in opulence, enveloped by the riches of Egypt. However, none of that was important at this moment. None of the wealth in existence could rival what he was on the brink of experiencing, a personal meeting with the divine. Exodus 3:5 Do not approach any nearer, God commanded. Remove your sandals. For the location you find yourself in, standing is sacred territory. In that instant, Moses realized this was not just any ordinary experience. He took off his sandals as a gesture of respect. His heart raced. The earth below him, dirt, rocks, dust, had transformed into something sacred, for the divine presence was palpable in that moment. Then the Lord spoke once more. Exodus 3:6 I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the deity of Isaac and the deity of Jacob. Moses quaked with fear. He shielded his face, trembling at the sight of the divine presence. What is the reason for God's revelation at this moment? For years, Moses likely pondered the meaning of his existence. He once resided in the grand palace of Pharaoh, enveloped by wealth and opulence. However, at that moment, everything shifted. He escaped from Egypt after taking the life of an Egyptian, who was abusing an Israelite. He took on the role of a shepherd, guiding sheep through the wilderness rather than directing people. Had he overlooked his true path? Negative. He had been getting ready for this moment. Each season of his existence, his tenure in Pharaoh's palace, his days spent in the desert, all converged toward this pivotal moment. And now, the divine was poised to alter the trajectory of history through his actions. However, Moses was unaware. That still remains. All he understood was that he stood before a deity so mighty that even the earth beneath him had transformed into something holy. Then the Lord disclosed the purpose of his arrival. Exodus 3:7-8 I have truly witnessed the suffering of my individuals in Egypt. I have listened to their cries, echoing through the air, a testament to the weight of their burdens. And I feel a deep concern for their pain. Thus, I have arrived to save them. The divine presence listened to the pleas of the Israelites. He had witnessed. He had made up his mind to take action in response to their suffering. However, this is where the intrigue begins. In a mere moment, divine intervention could have saved his people. In an instant, he could have summoned celestial beings to obliterate Pharaoh's army. Yet he selected Moses, a man who had been dwelling in exile, a man who likely believed his time had come and gone. However, the divine perspective differs significantly from that of humanity. Where Moses perceived defeat, God recognized readiness. Where Moses perceived triviality, the divine recognized significance. Where Moses perceived a shepherd, the divine recognized a liberator. Reflect on your own existence for a brief moment. Have you ever experienced a moment akin to that of Moses? Have you ever reflected on your past and wondered if perhaps you let an opportunity slip away? Perhaps I've ventured too far. However, the divine perspective transcends your perceived limitations. He recognizes your capabilities. He perceives your current position, yet he also envisions the path he is guiding you along. Moses was still in the dark, unaware that God was preparing to employ him in ways he could never have envisioned. What followed from God would alter the course of his existence eternally. The name of the divine disclosed to Moses. Moses stood in awe, his heart racing within his chest. The voice that had called out to him from the flames of the bush was far from ordinary. It was the voice of the Supreme Being, the deity of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. The very God who had summoned his forebears was now beckoning him. But what is the reason? Why? After all these years of silence, after all his failures, was there a voice now breaking through the stillness? The gravity of the divine message was profound. Moses had once dwelled in the lap of luxury, enveloped by the opulence of Egypt, yet now he found himself merely a shepherd, a figure lost to the annals of time, caring for sheep in the desolate wilderness. Yet here he stood, on sacred ground, receiving the revelation that he had been selected for a purpose far beyond his wildest dreams. The divine presence had witnessed the anguish of his people in Egypt. He had listened to their pleas, sensed their suffering, and now he was prepared to take action. However, he would not undertake it by himself. Moses would be sent to confront Pharaoh and guide the Israelites to their freedom. Moses, the outcast. Moses, the outcast. Moses, the individual who had previously escaped from the very location he was now being instructed to revisit. Unease settled within Moses' heart. He was unable to accomplish this. He lacked the strength. He lacked the eloquence. He had devoted years to the wild, distanced from the might and riches of Egypt. He paled in comparison to Pharaoh, prompting him to pose a question that laid bare his uncertainty, his doubt, and his urgent quest for reassurance. If I approach the Israelites and declare that the God of their ancestors has sent me to them, and they inquire, "What is his name? What should I convey to them?" This was more than merely a straightforward inquiry for details. In the ancient world, a name held significance beyond mere designation. It held significance, power, and a sense of self. The Egyptians revered a multitude of deities, each one embodying a specific aspect of their world, with names that encapsulated their unique powers. For Moses to approach the Israelites and proclaim that their God had commissioned him, it was essential for him to understand his name. Then, the divine voice uttered words destined to resonate across the ages. "I am who I am. Inform them that I have been sent to you." Moses must have been profoundly unsettled. This was not just any name. This was not a name akin to those of the Egyptian deities, linked to a particular element or natural force. This name was unchanging, everlasting. It existed beyond the confines of time, space, and human constraints. I am, not I was, not I will be. In essence, I exist. Through those words, the divine unveiled its essence in a manner that transcended human understanding. He was the divine being who transcends time, existing beyond the past and the future, perpetually present and eternally sovereign. He was the deity who required nothing, relied on no one. He existed independently, the origin of all existence, the bedrock of all that is real. This was the name that Moses was to convey to the Israelites, a name that would serve as a reminder that their suffering did not go unnoticed, and their prayers were indeed heard. Their deity was unlike the deities of Egypt, crafted from stone and gold, devoid of power and silence. Their deity was vibrant, engaged, and ready to act for them. The gravity of this revelation was profound. The name I possess holds a power that transcends human comprehension. It signified that the divine was constant, steadfast, and immovable. It signified that his commitments were everlasting, that his affection was infinite, that his strength had no limits. Moses sought a name, yet what he was given transcended his request. He grasped the fundamental nature of God. A profound insight came to him, destined to influence the beliefs of countless future generations. Yet, as he stood there confronting the divine, the burden of his own inadequacy pressed heavily upon him. How could he, an ordinary shepherd, bear such a profound message? How could he, a man who had once familiar with the wealth of Egypt, now shrouded in obscurity, how can one stand before Pharaoh and demand the liberation of a whole nation? Uncertainty continued to reside within him. Once more, he posed his inquiry. He grappled with the magnitude of the task. He longed for faith, yet trepidation continued to restrain him. The next words from God would append all that Moses thought he knew about himself and the identity of the one who was summoning him, the I Am. Throughout biblical history, Moses faced the burning bush, wrestling with the significance of the words of the divine. The name I Am was not merely an introduction. It was a proclamation of everlasting strength. A pronouncement that would resonate throughout the ages. However, this was not the sole occasion when God would unveil himself in such a manner. The name I bear encompasses the fullness of God's nature, his sovereignty, his authority, and his unchanging presence. It was a name that transcended the ages. As history progressed, the divine presence revealed itself through this sacred title. Centuries later, the prophet Isaiah would pen words that reaffirmed this truth. Deity. He spoke, proclaiming, I, the Lord, the first and the last, I am He. With these words, he reassured his people that he was the same divine presence who had summoned Moses. The same guiding force that had navigated them through the wilderness, the same eternal companion who would always stand by their side. Yet, the most remarkable instance in which I would find my voice once more occurred during the life of Jesus Christ. One day, Jesus found himself in the temple courts, encircled by religious leaders who challenged his authority. They confronted him, insisting on understanding who he asserted himself to be. Then, Jesus uttered words that resonated deeply within them. "Before Abraham existed, I was already here." It was a bold and unmistakable assertion of godliness. Jesus did not say, "Before Abraham was, I existed." He stated, "I am." He embraced the very name that was revealed to Moses by God. He proclaimed with unwavering certainty that he was not merely a teacher, not simply a prophet, but the timeless deity took on human form. The response was instantaneous. The spiritual authorities gathered stones with the intent to execute him. They grasped precisely what he was conveying. For them, this was an affront. No one could assert his identity unless he genuinely embodied it. This discovery is essential. This signifies that the very God who communicated with Moses through the burning bush was now present among his people in the form of Jesus Christ. The identical strength. The same presence that guided Israel from Egypt now stood among them, extending the gift of salvation. In the Gospels, Jesus consistently employed the name, "I am" to unveil various facets of his divine essence. I am the sustenance of existence. Those who seek my presence shall never know hunger. I am the beacon that illuminates the world. Those who choose to walk alongside me will always find their way in the light. I am the benevolent guide. The devoted caretaker sacrifices himself for the flock. I embody the path, the reality, and the essence of existence. No one approaches the Father except through me. Every statement held profound meaning. When Jesus proclaimed, "I am the bread of life," he conveyed that just as physical nourishment sustains the body, he alone can nourish the soul. When he declared, "I am the light of the world," he was proclaiming that without him, humanity is lost in spiritual darkness. Yet, maybe the most profound moment of all was when he declared, "I am the resurrection and the life." It was a bold face-off against the very essence of mortality. It served as a reminder that the strength of existence surpasses death. That life within him is everlasting. This transforms everything. The God who communicated with Moses is the very same God who communicates with us today. He remains constant, unwavering, and ever-present in each moment. He is the deity of Abraham, the deity of Moses, the deity of Israel, and the one who extends salvation to all who have faith. If this truth resonates with you, pause for a moment to recognize it. Demonstrate your recognition of the significance of "I am" by hitting the like button now. What might appear as a minor gesture carries profound significance. It serves as a testament to your reverence for the eternal presence of the one who has been, who is, and who will forever remain. However, the identity I embody transcends mere designation. It is a commitment. As we progress, the significance of that promise for you will become increasingly evident. The strength of the name, "I exist." Moses had been given the name of God. But did he genuinely grasp its significance? The phrase, "I am who I am," transcends mere divine introduction. They wielded a power that transcended human understanding. This was not just a saying. It was an unveiling of the divine essence, his everlasting presence, and his boundless might. In ancient times, names held significance beyond mere identification. They embodied essence, intention, and fate. When the divine disclosed his name to Moses, it was an unveiling of his true essence. He was not aloof, divine being constrained by mortal boundaries. He was neither a deity of stone nor of gold, unlike the impotent idols of Egypt. He was the self-existent, all-powerful creator, the one who had no beginning and no end. The one who could not be controlled or defined by human standards. This revelation held immense significance for the Israelites. For centuries they endured captivity, serving Pharaoh, a man who considered himself a deity. They had witnessed the opulence and grandeur of Egypt, yet it had been at the expense of their liberty. Their people endured enslavement. Their cries fell on deaf ears, their suffering seemed eternal. In this moment, the need to understand the true essence of God has never been more pressing. I was the answer. It signified that God was not merely cognizant of their pain. He was there. He was not a passive onlooker standing apart. He was the deity who listened. The deity who witnessed, the God who took action. The very same divine presence that accompanied Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was now by their side. He had not forgotten them. He had not forsaken them. What significance did this name hold for Moses? For a man who had once dwelled in the grandeur of Pharaoh's palace, enveloped by wealth and authority, yet had seen it all slip away. It signified that his history did not dictate his identity. The riches of Egypt paled in comparison to the might of the one who now summoned him. The riches of the earth pale in comparison to the everlasting presence of the divine. Moses had escaped to the wilderness, convinced he was a failure. Yet, the divine was revealing to him that no quantity of worldly wealth, no status of authority, and no human might could ever substitute for what genuinely holds significance, the essence of existence. This is a truth that continues to hold significance in the present day. Individuals pursue wealth, opulence, and prestige, convinced that these pursuits will provide them with a sense of safety. They labor relentlessly to construct their own realms, believing that riches will shield them from pain. Yet, everything fades away. Wealth diminishes. Opulence fades away. Power fades into the distance. But I am still here. This is why Jesus would later repeat these same words, reminding his followers that he was the origin of all that was required. I am the sustenance of existence. I am the beacon of the universe. I am the benevolent guide. I embody the path, the reality, and the essence of existence. He kept asserting, time and again, that he alone was sufficient. For Moses, the revelation of God's name transcended mere knowledge. It was an invitation to trust, to step forward in faith. To believe that I am would accompany him every step of the way. The path ahead. And it is the same invitation that is extended to us today. Moses continued to harbor uncertainties. He continued to ponder if he was truly the right person for the job. He examined his vulnerabilities, his setbacks, his inadequacies. However, the divine was not focused on Moses' shortcomings. He concentrated on his own identity. I am sufficient. The journey of Moses was only just commencing. The might of the divine name was on the verge of being revealed in ways he had never envisioned. The wonders that would ensue would rattle the very core of Egypt, demonstrating once and for all that no earthly power, no human wealth, and no man, not even Pharaoh himself, could withstand the power of the one true divine being. What unfolded next would unveil the true strength of the name I possess. The I Am and the 10 Plagues of Egypt. Moses had been granted the profound revelation of God's name. Yet the moment had arrived for decisive action. He had transcended his role as merely a shepherd in the wilderness. He was the selected bearer of existence. His mission was unmistakable. Return to Egypt, stand before Pharaoh, and proclaim that the deity of Israel insisted on the liberation of his people. However, the Pharaoh was far from an ordinary leader. He was the most formidable figure in the known realm, the essence of Egyptian prosperity, power, and dominion. His empire was constructed upon the labor of Israelite slaves. And he was resolute in his decision to keep them bound. To Pharaoh, the deities of Egypt held the highest power, and he regarded himself as one of them. Who was this I Am that dared to challenge his rule? The Pharaoh dismissed Moses' words with a scoff. Who is this Lord that I must heed, and allow Israel to depart? I do not recognize the Lord. And I will not allow Israel to depart. It represented a bold challenge to divine authority. The Pharaoh failed to see who I truly am, yet he was on the brink of discovery. What ensued was a remarkable exhibition of celestial might in the annals of history. The Almighty unleashed 10 plagues upon Egypt, each serving as a judgment not only against Pharaoh, but also against the false deities of the land. Initially, the Nile River transformed into blood, attacking the core of Egyptian existence and abundance. This was no typical river. It served as their source of wealth, their means of trade, their emblem of fertility. In a fleeting moment, it turned undrinkable, toxic, a clear indication that the deities they relied upon were impotent in my presence. Then arrived the frogs, the gnats, the flies, each a relentless attack on Egypt's ease and dignity. These were significant disruptions. They were utterly destructive. They breached the sanctity of homes, unsettled lives, and inflicted humiliation upon a community that valued order and control. Yet, Pharaoh turned a deaf ear. The plagues grew more severe, livestock succumbed, illness proliferated, and hail descended from the skies, obliterating crops and wreaking havoc on their economy. The deities of Egypt, once revered by the populace for their promises of prosperity and protection, were now being revealed as mere hollow figures. Yet, the pharaoh's heart continued to be unyielding. Then arrived the locusts, consuming what little remained, succeeded by 3 days of complete darkness. The sun, the most venerated god in Egypt, was obscured. It felt as though I was proclaiming that even the mightiest deity of Egypt held no significance in his presence. Yet the ultimate plague would rattle Egypt to its very foundation. On a single night, the harbinger of demise traversed the realm, claiming the existence of every firstborn son. The impact was a crushing hit to Egypt's sense of honor and strength. The empire that had shackled the faithful, that had amassed its wealth through their anguish, now lamented its own loss. Only those who had marked their doorposts with the blood of the Lamb were saved. It served as a prelude to something far more significant, the Supreme Lamb, whose blood would eventually atone for the sins of humanity. The Pharaoh found himself unable to withstand any further. The strength of I Am had become irrefutable. He ultimately released Israel. What ensued was a remarkable rescue that would echo through the ages. Moses experienced uncertainty. He had been filled with fear. He pondered if he was truly the right person for the task at hand. Yet, it was evident that a higher power was firmly in command. It was never about Moses's power. It has always centered around the might of the divine. The same force, the essence of existence, continues to operate in our lives today. No power, no riches, no realm can withstand his might. What he proclaims, he accomplishes. What he vows, he fulfills. Yet, the adventure had not reached its conclusion. Israel had gained its freedom, yet a formidable challenge loomed on the horizon. The events that followed would uncover the depth of their faith in the God who had set them free. The essence of I Am in the life of Jesus transcended the confines of the burning bush and the plagues of Egypt. It extended beyond the splitting of the Red Sea, or the wonders witnessed in the wilderness. The same divine presence that once spoke to Moses would eventually dwell among humanity. Not as a voice from the flames, but in the form of a man, Jesus Christ. For centuries, the people of Israel have held tightly to the name of I Am, drawing from it their hope and sense of identity. They had witnessed its might in their liberation from Egypt, in their triumphs over foes, and in the granting of the promised land. Yet, there was a yearning within them for something beyond. They yearned for the arrival of the Messiah, the figure destined to restore all things, the one who would establish God's kingdom for eternity. In the serene town of Bethlehem, the divine took on human form. Jesus arrived in a manner that defied the expectations of many. He came into the world without the comforts of affluence or extravagance. He did not ascend through the hierarchies of spiritual guides or governmental authorities. Rather, he arrived with humility, born in a stable, nurtured as the son of a carpenter. From the outset, his presence exuded an authority that transcended human comprehension. As he commenced his ministry, individuals were astonished by his wisdom, his miracles, and the manner in which he communicated with divine authority. However, it was at the moment he spoke the words "I am" that the religious leaders found themselves unable to overlook him any longer. Before Abraham was "I am," it was a proclamation that reverberated through the very core of their convictions. They grasped precisely what he was conveying. He was more than merely a prophet. He transcended the role of a mere educator. He asserted that he was the same divine being who communicated with Moses on Mount Horeb. He proclaimed his eternal nature, asserting that he possessed neither a beginning nor an end. The people had always understood that the name of the divine was sacred, far too holy to be uttered without reverence. And yet, here was Jesus embracing that name as his own. It was either the most outrageous assertion ever made, or it was the undeniable reality. Jesus continued on from that point. He persisted in unveiling his identity through declarations that bore the same profound significance as "I am." I am the sustenance of existence. Whoever approaches me will always find satisfaction. I am the beacon that illuminates the world. Those who choose to walk alongside me will always find their way in the light. I am the benevolent guide. The devoted guardian sacrifices himself for the flock. I embody the path, the reality, and the essence of existence. No one approaches the Father except through me. With every declaration, he was unveiling various facets of the divine nature. He was the source, the mentor, the guardian, the very essence of truth. All that Israel had understood about "I am" was now coming to fruition in the figure of Christ. Yet, akin to Pharaoh's defiance against divine authority in Egypt, the religious leaders stood in opposition to Jesus. Those individuals could not come to terms with the idea that this man from Nazareth was asserting his equality with God. Just as Pharaoh hardened his heart in the face of miracles, they too refused to believe, even as Jesus healed the sick, restored sight to the blind, and raised the dead. Their dismissal of him culminated when he faced them in court. The high priest inquired, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" Jesus' reply was straightforward. Yet it bore all the significance of paradise. "I am." With those words, the religious leaders rent their garments in rage. He was accused of. They condemned him for blasphemy, and imposed the ultimate penalty of death. They thought they were bringing closure to a deceitful figure, a man who audaciously claimed the name of the divine for his own. Yet they remained unaware of the complete strength of "I am." For just as the divine had showed his might over Pharaoh, he would show his might over death itself. Jesus faced crucifixion. His body was placed in a tomb, yet the grave could not contain him. 3 days later he rose once more, demonstrating definitively that he indeed was "I am." His resurrection stood as the definitive testament that divine power transcends the confines of history. It was a vibrant, immediate existence. It was a proclamation that "I am" was not merely the deity of Abraham, Moses, and Israel, yet the divine presence of all who would have faith. This is the same divine presence that reaches out to humanity today, the eternal "I am" who revealed himself to Moses in the fiery shrub, the one who guided Israel from the land of Egypt, who walked among humanity as Jesus Christ. He continues to speak, to call, to reveal himself to those who seek him. And just as Moses had every individual faces a choice when confronted with the essence of existence that I embody. If this revelation has touched you, share it with others. Pass this message along to someone who could benefit from it. The essence of "I am" has changed lives for countless generations, and it continues to hold the ability to accomplish that now. The revelation of "I am" and the future of humanity, the name "I am" was more than a mere declaration. For Moses, it was more than merely a declaration of authority for Pharaoh, or an unveiling of divine essence through. Indeed, it was a name that surpassed the confines of time. A name imbued with significance for the past, the present, and the future. When God spoke to Moses, declaring "I am who I am," he was unveiling a profound truth that transcended mere nomenclature. He was unveiling his timeless essence, his dominion over everything, and his total freedom from human constraints. This was not a deity fashioned by human hands, akin to the idols of Egypt or the false divinities of other nations. This was the originator of all existence, the eternal presence that has been, is, and will forever be. But what implications does that hold for what lies ahead? What is the connection between I am and what lies ahead? The solution is discovered in the concluding volume of the Scriptures, Revelation. Once again, Jesus makes an appearance, but this time not as the modest instructor wandering the paths of Galilee. He manifests in splendor, in grandeur, in strength. His gaze ignites with intensity. His voice resonates like a powerful storm waters, and in his right hand he holds the destiny of nations, and he speaks once more the words that have resonated throughout history. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, who is, who was, and who is yet to come, the Almighty. The identical voice that resonated from the fiery bush echoes with the same voice that will ultimately summon the world to face judgment. The one who brought Israel out of Egypt will come back to set up his kingdom. The divine presence that once walked among humanity as Jesus Christ shall eternally reign as the sovereign ruler of all rulers. This transforms everything. It signifies that history is not progressing haphazardly. This indicates that the world is not descending into chaos. It signifies that in spite of the conflicts, the turmoil, the dishonesty, and the insatiable thirst for wealth and opulence that captivates many, yet a deeper truth lies beneath. I remain in control. The wealth of the world will diminish. The realms of humanity shall crumble. Every empire founded on riches and dominance will eventually fall, yet I am endures. This is the pinnacle commitment and the final caution. For those who believe in I am, there is hope. There exists a form of security that transcends the fleeting riches of this world. There exists a steadfast foundation that no wealth, prestige, or worldly achievement can substitute. Those who are part of I will remain steadfast when all else is in turmoil. However, for those who turn away from him, who put their faith in wealth, in their own power, amidst the transient joys of this existence, another realm awaits. Pharaoh believed he surpassed the essence of existence. The religious leaders who condemned Jesus believed they could extinguish his voice. The leaders of the world have consistently sought to oppose him, yet he endures. And on a certain day, every knee shall bend in reverence before him. Every voice will proclaim that he alone is Lord, not merely as a historical fact, not solely as a matter of faith, but as a truth that cannot be contested. This is the destination of all paths converging. The one who spoke to Moses will one day speak again, and when that moment arrives, it will be the ultimate declaration. The sole inquiry is, where will you position yourself? When will that day arrive? The strength of I am in your existence. The name I am transcends mere historical title. It is more than merely a proclamation made to Moses or a title uttered by Jesus. It is a vibrant existence, a truth that molds the past, the present, and the future. The very God who communicated through the burning bush, who guided Israel from Egypt, who walked among humanity as Jesus Christ, and who will one day return in glory. That same God is reaching out to you today. All things in this world are fleeting. Wealth, abundance, and opulence can offer solace, yet they fail to deliver enduring stability. The Pharaoh possessed immense riches, yet they were powerless to protect him. The spiritual authorities wielded power and influence, yet they remained unable to escape the truth. Empires have ascended and crumbled, leaders have appeared and vanished, yet I am stands resolute. So the inquiry is, where do you invest your confidence? Do you construct your existence on fleeting things, or do you root yourself in the one who remains constant? Moses believed he was not enough. He believed his moment had come and gone. Yet, there was a vision that transcended his uncertainties, his shortcomings, and his vulnerabilities. And the divine observes you in a similar light. He is focused on your potential. He is observing His strength manifesting through you. Jesus proclaimed, "I am the path, the reality, and the essence of existence." That signifies there is no safety beyond Him. No amount of wealth, success, or human effort can substitute for what only I can provide: eternal life, unshakable peace, and a purpose that transcends anything this world can offer. It's your turn to reply now. What insights have you gained from this? In what ways has this revelation transformed your perception of the divine? Are you genuinely immersed in the essence of existence? Or have you allowed yourself to be sidetracked by the fleeting distractions of this world? I wish to receive your thoughts. We'd love to hear your insights in the comments. Your expressions could motivate another to recognize the reality. If you wish to further enrich your understanding of God's Word, consider subscribing to the channel now and activating notifications. There is an abundance of discoveries awaiting you, and you certainly won't want to overlook what lies ahead. If this message resonates with you, show your support with a like, not merely as a click, but as a testament to your belief in the strength of I Am. Before you leave, take a moment to watch the video currently playing on the screen. This journey will lead you further into a profound truth that has the power to reshape your beliefs. If this message has touched you, pass it along to someone who could benefit from it. The name I Am transcends mere words, it serves as an invitation. The sole inquiry is, how will you react?